Get your daily dose of inspiration through our music. Follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music in YouTube.
Radyo-Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
And there was another drive-by shooting.
The fire we reported at the fire hall is still burning out.
Do you sometimes feel confused or lost in the complications and complexities of life? Do you feel drained, listless, or exhausted from the daily burdens and responsibilities? Why not seek our campus ministers on air every Tuesday from 2 to 3 in the afternoon? Listen to our counselors from the Loyola School's Campus Ministry Office as they ground our lives in our faith, in our school's spiritual tradition. Campus Ministers on Air. Be guided, be inspired, be blessed. Listen to our Campus Ministers on Air. Radyo-Katipunan, 87.9 FM. We are now on YouTube. Watch all of our live episodes plus exclusive content in our channel at radyo-katipunan FM. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get the latest updates.
Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan. The voice of W Eagle kami, di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa loob, sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng pera. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, katipunero sugo, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Di pa W Eagle, galing hiding at tigil, blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan.
87.9 FM.
In 3, 2, and 1. What's poppin', and welcome to Popular with Sediaren, your stop for all things pop, where we talk about all things pop culture from here in the Philippines to the rest of the globe, to a hex, which we did not know what the hell it was until episode 9. Because we are talking about WandaVision in this episode. Hooray! Welcome back, everyone, and of course, before we begin our program formally, let's welcome our co-host for the day. Welcome back, Paula. She couldn't miss this, of course.
Definitely not. I will never miss a Marvel episode.
As the founding co-host of this show, with that Marvel episode, dapat nandito talaga si Paula, diba? And of course, coming back also is Sel. Thank you for giving your time for the show.
Excited to talk about Marvel because Paula's my number one Marvel friend.
And thank you so much. And ayun, well, this has been the talk of the town for the last couple of weeks and months, probably. Well, yeah, it's WandaVision. Of course, we have to talk about it. This is our after show because that was a roller coaster ride. But before we get there, I just wanted to talk about something that's also the talk of the town for the last few weeks. And Paula has a lot of feelings about it. Everyone has a lot of feelings about this, especially some titos and titas on my feed and whatever people on the comment section who have a lot of bad things to say about it. It's the controversial, quote-unquote, controversial interview by Oprah with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. So, ayun, just a rundown. What do we say about this? Well, after what the heck are they doing with their lives? Why are they doing deals with Netflix? Ganyan, ano nangyayari? You're just capitalizing on you being royals, blah, blah, blah. And of course, so many, ang daming tabloids na lumabas in the last how many years about the Megxit and the whole Meghan versus Kate thing. And Meghan just like came clean literally about everything that she's gone through since the fairy tale wedding everyone really watched and all that. And of course, it was kind of a bomb because from being, was she silent or silence?
Those hand
we have to do
I
that.
love her so much.
Were you silent or were you silenced? It was a whole 1 hour, 30-minute interview which I watched. Thanks, Paula, for giving me the link.
Oh, you're welcome. I supplied several people with
the whole world.
Content.
The whole world thanked Paula for that interview. Ayun, well, pasabog of the week, royalty about everything.
Pasabog of the year, I would argue.
Pretty much the biggest interview. It garnered like 17 million views while it aired or after it aired. So, ayun. Ano ba masasabi
Not
natin?
counting pirated views.
Not counting us.
Not counting us who don't have the Oprah network or the CBS in the Philippines.
Yeah.
What is there to say about this? Well, I've been like, I wouldn't say a royalist, but like just genuinely interested in the royal family as a whole. I think they're very fascinating people. They're like the ultimate Kardashians, if you will, because their lives are so public and out there. It's hard not to be intrigued by them, considering that they have a lot of like political power, not just in Great Britain, but in
But the British tabloids are something else.
Yeah, they were absolutely horrible. And if you were like for how many years and during your pregnancy at that, your most like emotional state as a woman who would like to give birth. Of course, like your mental health is going to deteriorate after all of that stuff.
And you're stuck in one place, they won't even let you out.
Diba? They wouldn't let her out. So to the titas and titos out there that are saying like the drama, like, you guys have absolutely
What do you know? I mean, of course, being a royal comes with privilege, that's for sure. But parang yun na nga eh. Ang dami nag-comments na, I don't believe her. She's such a great actress. Blah,
Excuse
blah,
me, if
blah.
she was a great actress, her most
Her best
successful
stuff. Yeah,
stuff would not be
exactly.
Suits.
Yun na nga.
She would have been in better
something else.
stuff.
Yun na nga, exactly.
I love Suits, just putting that out there as well, but it's not the pinnacle of good acting.
Well, I guess it really speaks up about a lot of generational differences also about your values and what you choose to believe in terms of these big controversial public happenings. And yun na nga, as Meghan said, parang you don't really know what's happening. Even Harry himself said that, na parang you don't know what's happening. You only see the pictures, you only see that. And I mean, yun na nga, coming from the business, we also know that na when you meet celebrities or whatever, or it's not the same thing that you see on music videos, in movies, or in TV shows, diba? It's really something deeper and something more human that you don't even know or you don't recognize what's happening to that person as a person. And you can see it in Meghan's eyes na parang she's really like emotional and she's really hurt by everything that has
Everybody
happened.
going like, oh, she wouldn't be really crying if she was like going through something. Like, yes, you would. Yes, you would.
Ayun. Well, Sel, you have any words to say based on like some of the like clips you've seen?
Full disclosure, I haven't seen the entire interview, but yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like the royal family is so threatened that their image could be broken so quickly by just one person like coming forward to say that you guys treated me so horribly. And it's so disheartening to see that so many people don't even want to believe her, even given the fact that she put so many things at risk just like coming forward to say these things. And Paula and I were talking about this the other day. We are genuinely curious what the PR cleanup of the royal family is going to be after this. 'Cause it's a huge mess, and I personally don't see what they can actually do to like resurrect their very destroyed reputation at this point.
It's a very fragile reputation to begin with anyways.
But apparently, I've been reading lang na Charles has been kind of getting good approval ratings lately, and then parang he's devastated now, quote unquote devastated, because this came out and now he will like not be popular because of this. But like, hello, it's not even.
Nag-improve yung ratings niya, but he still isn't like in
Well
the
liked.
top
Yeah.
most like well-liked royals. The
So-
one will always be the queen.
Ayun. Well, they were careful enough to like praise the queen for being a good grandmother,
I
and
don't think they said anything that was like disparaging to anyone in particular. So
Yeah.
I feel like if they were getting hurt, then alam mo yun, like very Filipino saying na bato-bato sa langit.
yeah,
Huwag magalit. So
they're cautious enough and they know what they're saying. It's not like they just went on an unfiltered interview na tell all
Yeah.
na ano, diba? So ayun na nga.
If it was like PR, so what? So what if it's PR? They need the PR.
I mean, they got cut off of their livelihood or their wealth, which Harry did say na, oh, without my mother's trust fund, then I would have grabbing the history nga of everything.
Diana just no way.
She prepared for
Harry has
them.
to spare. There's a lot of stuff na mangyayari talaga sa life. She knew that. Ayun.
He was-
It's annoying pa, like just adding to all of the frustration I have for the titas and titas. Like these are the same people who praised Diana for what she did several years ago.
That's so true. That's so.
And they're judging Meghan for doing the exact same thing. Like, please. Please. I don't understand any
issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much loved family members. And so they didn't really say anything.
I hate the will be addressed privately because
They don't know what
and I
to
were
say.
talking about this also. Like normal family issues should be addressed. Like our family issues should definitely be addressed privately. But if you are a family with that much influence and power, these things should not be addressed privately because you guys have enough sway to like make laws or approve laws in several countries. And if you are racist within yourselves, paano na kayo sa mga constituents niyo? Diba?
And a lot of their constituents are actually people of color.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that recollection varies sentence.
I know.
I
It's
think
like
yun,
memory.
It's not
Subjective.
even a non-apology. It's kind of trying to
Dismiss.
it's very, very dismissive, and it's kind of saying that that's their side, but you haven't heard ours. Maybe ours is the correct one. Like a very subtle way to say that she's probably lying.
I can't wait for the Queen's my thoughts on this issue. YouTube video
Her
for all of
vlog.
this. I'm here for it.
Her reputation era, as Twitter said.
Yeah.
Ang dami ng because of this. And
It's
what do you call this? And yun na nga, parang it's weird. Like, also, I mean, racism aside, parang, are you dumb? Don't you have science classes about genetics? Obviously, the kid will be 1/4 na lang, and the skin color will definitely
the fact
mostly be
they were
white.
so bothered by a small percentage of color.
Exactly.
Ano, inbreeding na lang kayo forever? Ganon? My goodness.
So, ayun, marami pang mga Piers Morgan, leftist show, blah, blah, but, you know, that's for another time.
Yeah. And I guess like as a final, I would just for a monarchy to exist in a modern setting, they have to adjust. They know that the institution is fragile. So to me, not being willing to change is terrifying. Because they will, the minute that Queen Elizabeth drops dead, the monarchy is in trouble. Because nobody likes Charles.
Yep.
Let's be honest. So,
That will be interesting, but I mean, 2022 will be her Jubilee year by now. Or basta her 100th year as the Queen. So that's the celebration they're looking forward to. I think I read somewhere.
Hindi naman siya 100 because like,
Napaisip ako dun.
Hindi ko alam, may nabasa ako. Something year anniversary. Let me check.
Baka 75th.
And she wasn't queen, even if she's 100, she wasn't queen at like 1.
Yeah.
Platinum Jubilee 2022. What does that mean? 70th pala. 100, parang I just made it up.
Si Philip, 99 pa lang eh.
I just made it up. Fact check. Yeah, 70th anniversary of the Ascension of Queen Elizabeth II. So that's 70 years and
Should
the
be
longest.
interesting.
Yeah. So let's see what happens then. I still have not watched The Crown. So
We should. My goodness.
well,
Who will
yes.
Tyler Perry? Who will play Tyler Perry in the Meghan Markle story?
Who should play Meghan Markle? Will Meghan Markle?
Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle or Zendaya.
Zendaya nga raw. Stop it, stop it. So yeah, now we head to our main topic after being sidetracked by that. Of course, WandaVision. I'm wearing the shirt. I have the background. I have a Wanda here and the Vision somewhere. Yeah, I mean, isa pang, every week it was a conversation. Every Friday, it's the only thing I would
Look forward.
literally look forward to every week. It's like my weeks are just like waiting for Fridays for the next WandaVision episode. Yeah, how do we begin even talking about this? Well, ayun. Well, welcome officially everyone to Phase 4 of MCU. We had a year off, which was a kind of a good year because, we've had so many things coming at us from the MCU front for the number of years. But, the pandemic really changed the scheduling, which was a good breather to be able to watch a lot of other things, anime especially, right, Paula? And ayun, officially premiered in January. WandaVision is the first ever Disney Plus or Marvel Studios original series. So let's get started on how we're gonna talk about this. Well, first of all, I guess let's talk about the weekly versus binge thing. I think we touched on this like a while back. I'm not sure about Mandalorian yet, but this is a weekly show. Only 2 episodes premiered in the beginning, the first week, and then we had to wait every week. Well, ayun nga, for me, it's a welcome change to have shows talaga that are weekly because it's nice. I mean, syempre, may mga cliffhangers every week, which is how I guess what makes good television. And na-spoil talaga tayo ng binge setup because of Netflix. Now, you have to get on and watch everything all at once until the next new thing comes next week or something like that, right? And this one was a welcome pacing. Paula, what do you think on the
Well, it's the first Disney Plus show that I watched like on a weekly basis because Mandalorian for both seasons. Iniipon ko muna sila before starting on it.
Yeah.
But as with anything Marvel, I can't wait. So it was that kind of show na talaga I needed to get on it every week and I couldn't risk not watching it because for sure the internet will be filled with spoilers, and that's the last thing I want especially for a show like WandaVision. So it was good. I both loved and hated the fact that I had to wait every week for something new because you just needed answers and you needed it now.
There's so many questions.
But it was good because it brought me back to that feeling. I like making fan theories with friends, discussing all of the possibilities that could happen. And for a lot of my friends, like we kind of stopped doing that. And yeah, with the era of like Netflix and all of these other shows that you can watch in one go and you can just discuss it afterwards when everything's already considered and done. And the only theories that could happen are for like the next season or whatever. So this was fun. It was a good way then for friendships to reignite in a lot of ways. And I really, really appreciate that. And it provided me and my brother with like a weekly topic then to discuss at the dinner table, even though my parents wouldn't understand anything that we were saying. It was a nice feeling. So I definitely appreciate that. Ikaw, Sam.
For me, given the fact that we've been in quarantine for so long, our idea of time is very skewed. So it was very helpful to have a marker to say, oh, it's Friday today.
Friday.
I mean, like I realized that now that I'm back in school with a semester, it's really hard to tell what day it is. So like I have my schedule like everywhere in my room on my laptop. But I think WandaVision helped, which is a very strange thing to say, but WandaVision helped me remember what day it was because you'd know like, oh, it's almost the next episode. And it was nice. It was also like what Paula said. It was a nice family bonding activity because I'd watch it with my brother and my parents. We'd really have to carve out a time on Fridays to be able to watch it together. So I think that the weekly format really, really helped. And for the people who were complaining because they're more accustomed already to the binge culture, it kind of became a choice. Like, instead of complaining about it, well, it's your choice to wait.
Yeah, you can just wait
So I don't think
after
that's a
9
big problem.
episodes. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, you're
Instead
right.
of complaining every week, just wait for it.
Yeah, pero parang with episodes like this, people can't help but spoil the conversation.
I know.
And you have to really get on it unless you wanna like stay off of Twitter for a day or 3 after it
Or mute.
releases. Because the internet will just be full of memes about for people who are watching this or listening to this, syempre spoiler alert, we're just gonna be talking spoiler extravaganza at this point.
Yeah, it's like a week after.
Yeah, because this is the our after show. Yun nga, parang about being it being Agatha all along, or all the memes that are from the show. just can't help but see it and like at some point be spoiled. So parang if you're that kind of person, you just can't help but like watch it and wait for it every week. But I agree with Sel, like maganda ang family bonding. Like I somehow convinced my younger sister to watch, and she's not really big on the MCU. And then now that she watched it, she really liked it. She's standing Wanda now, and like she's gonna be watching more stuff because of it, because of the characters from different shows. Yeah. So I mean, heading on to the main episodes. Well, it didn't really like get the same amount of like internet buzz in the first few weeks, right? I mean, people are like, what's happening? Episode 1 to 3 was kind of like a really different setting because it was still the TV show na, okay, they're in different eras, but we don't really understand what's happening here. We can only theorize at that point. And yun nga, the press were given the first 3 episodes, and understandably so, because once you get to episode 4, it's really changing the whole game and explaining the bigger narrative of it all. Well, the first 3 episodes, let's talk about that. Na parang, what were our first impressions then? Na parang, I was just like kind of confused, honestly. Like, although I really like the whole setup of sitcom and like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and Wanda and Vision being in that setting, I was like, okay, what is this gonna turn out to be? Parang masaya naman siya, and it's campy, the music is great, the references, the styling, the whole world is like, wow, it's not something you can do in like a movie setting in one go for sure, right? And yeah, it's kind of like, okay, what is this? And how much better will it get from here?
I mean, I guess I understand why it was harder, particularly for us to get into the first few episodes, considering that we're not American.
That's true.
Did not like consume shows like the Dick Van Dyke Show. Although my parents did watch Bewitched, that was something that they grew up with. But generally, like our generation in particular, hindi naman yun something that we like, very interested in. But it was nice seeing like all of those homages to very classic television tropes and so I think for me it was a bit of a history lesson as to like America finds interesting or like entertaining in that sitcom sort of sense. And ayun nga, parang tama naman na you don't know what's happening, but that's like the fun part of it. Because you don't know what's happening, you try to look at every little thing and wonder like, what does this mean? You know, the intros of the song, my brother would point out, like, oh, that's Mephisto, that's ganito ganyan, that's ganyan, and I'm like, I don't understand a word that you're saying, but sure, exciting. So it was very, very cool. I think it was just them messing with the fans a lot, like thinking that this is how it's gonna turn out because of all of these little clues that they were dropping here and there. So I think that was very, very fun. What was I going to say? Oh, nawala yung train of thought ko. Yeah, I was generally very entertained by it, and just as it's a different like scheme for Markle to do, it was just very refreshing because at that point, medyo like you could tell where the formula of MCU was already. So this was generally very fun and different.
Definitely changed the game. I mean, of course, by the end of the season, you kind of get the semblances of a typical or the general MCU, but itong format is completely different and completely fresh. And I would like to like really give props to the Robert and Kristen Anderson Lopez husband and wife team who were also behind Frozen 2. They were the ones who made the themes for all the WandaVision openings, and it's just so catchy. And even Christoph Beck, who is the sound designer or scorer of Frozen, also, I mean, it was a Frozen theme basically. So you see the Disney
like how
network here.
I like how WandaVision is basically a Frozen project, but okay.
Ikaw, Sel, what did you think of the coming into it.
I think the first 3 episodes kind of served to set up the expectation that it was something very different. Like, hindi naman siya nilalaglag ko siya, but my dad totally fell asleep watching the first 2 episodes. Because of course, you know, the level of hype he felt watching it, it was like, oh, it's gonna be a Marvel movie, there's going to be like action or like fight scenes agad. And when it turned out like that, it didn't immediately click, I think, with the people who were expecting some kind of big action movie. But for the best part of the first 3 episodes was that creeping sense of dread that they were able to portray. Like, it was so subtle. Like, it was really small things, but you knew that something was wrong. And the fact that the format was so happy, and there were those like little small things that they put in there, it really made you feel so curious about what's going to happen next. And I really liked that. And I was kind of hoping it would go a little bit more horror, actually, but I think maybe it's not ready for that yet. But the amount that they did put in the first 3 episodes was pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean,
I think like aside from the horror, I mean there were a lot of light parts which was kind of fun because to me it felt very much like a fanfic. Like, you know how we have those like domestic Avengers fan fiction and you just never see that come to life.
it
This was
literally.
it. This was it, and I just wanted to see Wanda happy, even if it was like fake for like just a few hours after everything that she'd been through. It was just nice to see her happy.
Because Wanda was such a big sitcom fan, she probably read a lot of fanfic in her free time. Maybe this was a whole alternate universe fan fiction for her.
She's an AU. She was self-inserting a fan. She was doing a self-insert
herself.
fanfic.
I mean, the creativity to be able to think about all of that and make it into your whole world. And of course, yun na nga, the biggest, I guess the biggest gift episodes 1 to 3 gave us was the mystery of it all. What is the meaning of this date, which they never revealed anything. What's the meaning of the date, right?
So they just explained that it was like the hearts were coming.
Yeah, wala, diba? And all of that, all of those questions, like, ayun, parang, we were like, what the heck will this mean by the end of it, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah, the
episode,
beekeeper,
yeah,
helicopter.
It felt like a magic trick. It was very show don't tell, which is what I really appreciated about the first 8 episodes. I think it was like a reference to that second episode where they had the magic show. For me, I feel like that's what they wanted.
First, second.
I'm not sure, but yeah, it's like what they wanted to do was like that feeling of you're seeing a magic trick unfold in front of you, and then you're as the audience, you're wondering like, how do they do that? Kaya?
It was great. A lot of symbolism also hidden within the show.
even in the opening sequences,
Yeah, it was just
the background.
well crafted.
And I mean, generally, most of all is Elizabeth Olsen's like ability to change her acting in each episode, in each era she's gonna be in, and and snap back.
Paul Bettany was like the same.
Yeah.
Kind of the same all throughout.
Well, he's a robot, or
I know.
Paul Bettany looked like he was having the time of his life. On
I
the show.
know.
Like, you could kind of feel that he was super enjoying it for some reason.
I always forget that Paul Bettany was the monk in the Da Vinci Code. Did you guys watch that movie?
I have
The
not
albino
watched
monk.
I think I've seen it a bit.
So
Same.
it's so funny. Like if you have that, I have that visual in my head, and then like he's the vision also. It's very very strange. But yes, Paul Bettany did look like he was having the time of his life, which is
And
great.
who wouldn't, right? I mean, dressing up in different eras.
Being beside Elizabeth Olsen almost all the time.
And it's just really also cute na, I mean, I guess signing up to be Wanda in the MCU, you wouldn't really probably see that far off na. I'd be paying tribute to a lot of sitcoms, and diba, her family, the Olsen twins, Mary-Kate and Ashley, were in
Full House.
Full House.
Full House.
And then now she's like
They
playing.
do a tribute to Full House.
Exactly. So it's just like a lot of like meta fun in that. And in episode 4, of course, which is revealed na Wanda's. I mean, everyone's already like theorizing na it's something of Wanda's doing, and that kind of solidified it. Na this is what's happening outside I just got goosebumps in that first sequence. Parang,
Oh, yeah.
oh my gosh, it's happening again. Although we know it happened, right? And that reveals the bigger side of things. Sword exists, which they never really touched on in the MCU before. And Maria Rambo passed away, and then Jimmy Woo is back with the card trick and everything as a tribute to Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ayun. So it's just that opens up the two separate universes existing in the same show. And Darcy Lewis, of course, a fan favorite also. It's nice to see her back in this. So ayun, a lot of Easter eggs, especially the commercials. Paula had a lot of theories. Well, ever since episode
And
1,
none of them came true.
yeah, you're like, what the hell do these commercials mean? What
That's the fun of it. We were always wrong.
Yeah. So
In the
good.
end, nothing mattered because ever since now all the Mephisto ones, Mephisto theories, and a lot of fans are like, okay, I was expecting this. Why didn't I get this by the end of it? And like, I guess that was really the fun of it. Yeah, sell the same.
Yeah, and I feel like it would have been sad also if we were just if they would have went that route because it's the expected route. You know, everybody thinks that you're gonna bring Mephisto into it if you're introducing Harkness. And I think that it's fun that they're kind of saving that for another time. Strange, you know, and it just opens up the world a little bit more and for them to expand the story.
To New Jersey.
I like that they were indulgent with what they did with the MCU.
Well, now at least we have a lot more Marvel comic book knowledge that we've read up on these Mephisto, Agatha Harkness, and all of that.
The House of M.
Yeah, so I guess now let's talk about the reveals, the big reveals we got through the show, starting from episode 4 to 9. Well, of course, the first one was that it's not what it seemed to be, and I guess the biggest reveal after that was Pietro, or when Evan Peters came into the show as the fake Pietro. Well, Paula, it's palagi namin usapan ni Paula, si Quicksilver na parang, oh yeah, it might be Quicksilver, but Paul's like, yeah, but they already announced Evan Peters.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think I remember that being announced, and they didn't really mention what he was gonna be, right? And everyone's like, is this the opening of the multiverse that she got Pietro from, or Peter from the X-Men universe into this universe to replace, or to at least have a version of Pietro with her? And yeah, thoughts on the whole Pietro Ralph Boner thing?
I was just very happy to see Evan Peters play the role again.
Yeah.
As much as I love Aaron Taylor Johnson, Evan Peters Quicksilver to me was just much more fun, and it was the Quicksilver that I always had in my mind when I read, you know, the X-Men comics. So it was just nice to see him, and in the same universe as, you know, Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda naman. Because in the X-Men universe, Wanda was his like little sister, diba?
Yeah.
But I don't particularly like the new X-Men movies. A lot of facts like I tend to forget. But yeah, I think it was fun. I still don't know what to feel about it being a cop-out. I mean, of course he wouldn't have been real, diba? Like, that wouldn't have been possible talaga for Wanda or even Agatha to have done. But nasasayangan niya ako because I thought it was gonna be the start of X-Men actually being in the MCU, something that a lot of people have been waiting for a really long time. But that reveal was great. I did not expect that at the end of the episode. So it was a very, very good, like, kailangan, when I want the next week to like come right away. That sort of feeling that you get from really good people.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess parang it's just really kind of disappointing on that front. Na parang okay, that just led up to that, him being a random neighbor in the actual neighborhood. Well, maybe he's I don't maybe there's still something behind that whole thing when they return to Westview to go back to Agatha Harkness. Pero yung sad lang for me is like, you don't even give like one appearance from Aaron Taylor Johnson, a new appearance at least. Like, I mean, I'm just really sad about Quicksilver still in Age of Ultron until now. Like, you could have at least given him one movie before he died or something. I mean, aside from that.
And he got killed by bullets. Like, of all the things that would kill like a super fast human being. Talaga ba?
I actually got spoiled about like the whole Pietro appearance because I don't check Twitter on my laptop, but that day I think I was waiting for a Zoom call, so I happened to check, and literally all of the trending topics were like Evan Peters, Pietro, Quicksilver, and I was just like, damn, okay, I should have not checked. So annoying. It was totally an accident that day. But the fun part was that I watched the episode with my family. So seeing my family like gasp at the end when he came out, and my dad going, "Di ba yun yung sa X-Men?" Parang it kind of like lightened the blow of getting spoiled, and I realized how much I missed being in a cinema.
Yeah.
Like watching these things is like a communal experience. So I'm really glad that WandaVision brought that back.
And also, like, to add to that, I feel like, maybe Twitter should start like a whole algorithm or a whole feature to not, parang no to spoilers. Para yung mga taong ayaw makita muna, may parang robotic AI that will like filter those for you. I think that
It's so annoying, their algorithm, and because you like certain topics, like WandaVision, you tend to like those.
You get more.
Diba? You get more. You get served those hashtags, particularly on your trending page, and it's just like, yeah, it's
there's
very
literally no
frustrating.
way to avoid. Even on Saturdays for RuPaul's Drag Race, like you intentionally do not go to Twitter in the morning because you will know who got eliminated or what happened in the episode. I feel like even parang ano pa siya yung problemang to is like very 2011, 2012. Kasi Facebook, even
Very Game of Thrones.
yeah, Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, who would die in The Walking Dead at that
Oh,
point.
yeah.
The Walking Dead was still part of the bigger
TV
conversation in culture. Yun, parang I found out a person died because of a Facebook post by the official page. Like,
That's
okay.
horrible. That's the worst. I feel like that's definitely worse than seeing it on someone else's page, diba? Or if someone else posted it. But if you get spoiled by the actual, content creator, like, ano na.
Yeah, and again, parang you know how people never really learn. Like again and again, we say na, oh, we love the Don't Spoil the Endgame campaign, and then after that, people just went on a free, like, spoiler spree for everything else that came after that. Parang, wait, is it just because of Endgame, and then now you're just like back to spoiling everyone else of everything, right?
That's true. But what's interesting about WandaVision is that even if you have an idea of what's going to happen already, the way that they did the reveals was also really interesting. Like there was something very compelling about the how of the reveals, not just the what it was, especially with Agatha Harkness. I think everyone kind of predicted that already. But the fact that they revealed it like through a song number, which of course, like we mentioned earlier, sobrang galing ng music.
Amazing.
I think that really helped, even if we knew what was gonna happen. At least we got to enjoy, like, that was a banner, let's be honest.
I know. I mean, you know what? Episode 1 pa lang, Anton, Paula's brother, already like, oh, that's Agatha Harkness. Because Paula was like, oh, Anton is saying this. And I'm like, who's Agatha Harkness? And it just, I mean, we kind of, everyone, or generally people already had the theories. But that reveal, as you said, is like amazing. One of the best Disney villain songs ever. And she killed Sparky too.
She's great. I mean, I think for me, Catherine Hahn, as great as Elizabeth Olsen is, and like her performance, I think that is just genuinely heartbreaking. But Catherine Hahn stole the show for me. Episode 1 pa lang, when the minute that she knocked on Wanda's door, I was hooked with her delivery and her just general presence. Because you could tell that there was also something wrong with her. Like, in a world that was already like very, very strange, she was even stranger. Like, and I think that was great. She had this really great aura about her. And I'm excited to see more of her in the future MCU stuff.
And I'm sure we will, right? Kasi
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wanda couldn't have just left her there. Like, oh, let's be nice and I'll leave you here to live your life as a nosy neighbor.
Okie dokie. I love her so much.
I mean, it's great that she gets that spotlight after being a great actress in so many comedy movies for the longest time. Bad Moms is one of my favorites, even though it's so, like,
We're the Millers. She was also really good there.
alam mo, hindi ko pa napanood ng buo yung We're the Millers.
Oh really? I think it's such an underrated comedy, and she makes it like 10 times funnier. Her and Nick Offerman, the fact that they're together behind that.
She was wonderful in Parks and Recreation.
Yes. Oh my
She's from
gosh.
Eagleton also, right? Or is she?
She was the one who was trying to convince Ben to run.
But in a very passive aggressive way.
So, like, Parks and
love
Rec just
her.
had everyone that just became mega world superstars at this point.
I know that casting.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's really good.
So, tama ba? She was from Eagleton?
I
Or
think
was
so.
that,
Yes.
But that was also Kristen Bell who was from Eagleton. So, both of them.
I guess we have to rewatch Parks.
I guess we do. And aside from those, of course, the Agatha Harkness was a big reveal, especially it was Agatha all along, the song that's still in my mind until now. One of the biggest reveals came in episode 8 or 7 when after the Agatha Harkness reveal, they went through Wanda's history, and that was a really, like, I was so, I don't know what to say, like, shocked. Well, not shocked, but like, I was so like compelled by that whole episode where they revealed why she was doing a sitcom, how she was a fan of sitcoms, and that part where her family, her house was like struck by that missile, and yun na nga, parang everyone has been theorizing na okay, now that X-Men are back in the universe, or in the MCU, parang how will they rewrite or how will they reintroduce mutants in this already existing world, right? And yun na nga, parang one of the theories that everyone has been saying before this was maybe she did have powers before and the Mind Stone just added that into her or like strengthened her power, and they basically made that canon, right? And yun. Any thoughts on
Yeah.
that particular episode and reveals shown there?
Well, my brother and I had that theory as well for the longest time. Parang very strange naman if the Mind Stone just gave them powers, because that's not what the Mind Stone does naman talaga. So from the get-go, it was all like, we could tell that it was like a secret plan or like this underground plan that Marvel had, if ever they would get rights to the X-Men, and they did. So it was very fulfilling to see it actually be confirmed as true, and it opens up nga that world of mutants, if they're going to call it mutants. So that's very exciting, I think. Ayun nga, I agree na we should have gotten at least one glimpse of Aaron Taylor-Johnson in that episode.
Yes.
Of all the episodes, we should have gotten that at the very least. But yeah, it was a very heartbreaking episode, and an episode that delivered one of the best lines in television
Oh my God.
in the longest time. Which is what is grief if not love persevering, which has been memed to death, and I'm a little miffed at the fact that it has been
Ano yung
memed to
favorite
death, because it's a
version
beautiful
nyo?
line. Ano to? What is March 2021 if not March 2020 preserving? I think that's my favorite one because it's very true.
This one is my favorite.
The Theseus one is good too.
The
What is
what?
the ship of Theseus? What is the ship of Theseus if not the ship of Theseus
Theseus
persevering?
persevering.
It's like that's so good.
Tsaka yung isa pa nating pinagtatawanan sa what is tomorrow's to-do list if not today's to-do list?
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite one. And
Like,
kinend lang to sa akin kagabi. What is paksiw if not lechon persevere?
alam mo, paksiw is like 10 times better than regular lechon. I will die on that hill talaga. So I'm 100% here for that. But yeah, well written line, and I think in general, like WandaVision was just very, very, very well crafted for a Marvel show. Ano yan? For a Marvel piece of media that doesn't normally have the best crafting. If anything, it's a very popcorn film. But WandaVision really stepped up the bar and showed that you can be a superhero piece of media and be really, really good.
And be different at this oversaturated world. And I think, yun na nga, coming off of that quote, it's really very fitting for this time to have such a show talk about grief and how people handle this kind of grief. Not just Vision's death, but also her brother's death, her parents' death, like lifelong trauma, and not having really the therapy for it or people to like. Aside from Vision was like the last straw in her narrative. Na Vision was her person or her android.
Wasn't a person.
I know. Her android to like really at least try to help her cope throughout being new in this world and also like exploring her new life, and then he's taken away from her. And yun na nga, parang in this time especially, I don't think they really intended this because this was made pre-COVID, right? And yun nga, this whole pandemic has been a lot of grief for other people, for a lot of people in many different ways. May it be the death of their loved ones or like the change of life or
Yeah.
lifestyle, loss of jobs. It's just really nice how they put that into this show and they injected that narrative for Wanda to be able to like explore that and accept that reality of hers.
I think the whole the whole show is centered around grief, not just Wanda's, but I think a really big part of it is Monica's as well.
Yes.
And I was very, very, because we kind of skimmed over the blip sequence. I think to me it was very, very crucial, not just in WandaVision, but in the whole MCU, for us to understand the consequences of that experience. Because like the way that we viewed it in Endgame was very joyous. Diba? Like everyone coming back and it was so good to see, so they can defeat Thanos, all of that stuff. But in the regular world, it was a traumatizing experience. You have people coming back in places that they shouldn't have been, and it makes you think about so many traumas that happened because of both the snap and the blip. I keep thinking about mothers separated from children, diba? All of these things that we never really think about, and seeing that sobrang chaotic, hectic view in Monica's memory was just so real. And I think it's important for the MCU to go outside of the superheroes worlds, because that's what's really affecting everyone naman. So yun, and Monica's grief, I think, was basically where Wanda was at the start when she created Westview. So it was interesting, I think, for Monica to face that reality while and cope in her own way while Wanda was coping in another. And these two women just like looking at each other and realizing how much loss that they have, and just how powerless they are in spite of being very like powerful people to deal with it. So yeah, I think it's just very, very, I like that juxtaposition between those two really strong female characters.
It was really the nice or perfect way to introduce Monica
Monica.
also,
Yeah.
as the adult Monica at least. Yun na nga, parang to have the parallel between her and Wanda, because nobody else in that show, at least in the outside world, had the same experience as Wanda, for them to be able to empathize. Oh, why is Wanda doing this? Because for a time, they were villainizing her na, oh, she's a villain, she's a threat, she's a terrorist, sabi nga nila, diba? So, for her to be like, no, I know that pain and I know why she's doing this. And for her to try to like, be that buddy or that like person to try and reach out to her was really nice also. And, we experienced the birth of a new hero in Monica Rambeau,
Proton.
Proton, or whatever she will be called in Captain Marvel 2. Ang ganda ng, this will just like give birth to so many um next movies, next
Yeah.
series. And yeah, any thoughts on Monica and Grief and Sel?
I have a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, like my first impression of WandaVision was really that it's a grief project, but more importantly, it's a female grief project, which I think is a very important topic to discuss, especially in a very male-dominated space like the Marvel Universe.
Yep.
For me, what was particularly fascinating, and I was just telling Paula about this, is that it shows how female emotions always have to be packaged in such a way that it can't be messy. It has to be palatable to other people, or else you'll be called crazy. You'll be called like, bakit ajit ka agad? Or like, in Wanda's case, like you mentioned earlier, she was called a terrorist. She was straight up called a terrorist. So I think that also played into the fact that they went with the sitcom formats, was a way to make her grief look presentable, to even to herself. And borrowing this idea from my friend, Aris and I were talking about it. He said that there was a very obvious obsession with appearances on the show. Like everything had to look right for Wanda to feel in control. So when the appearances started glitching out, that's when she realized that she didn't have control. And that's when her emotions started leaking out to the outside appearance of the world. And it's also how Agatha was able to manipulate her. Like there were scenes that, which were actually some of my favorite scenes, was when suddenly she'd get a glimpse of like Vision's corpse, or
Those were good.
Pietro's body with like the bullet holes in
Bullet
it.
holes.
So in seeing those glimpses of death, that's how Agatha was able to like mess with her a little and like pull away from her sense of control. So I think it was a really, really good exploration of very female grief. And I hope that the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is not particularly known for its well handling of female characters, will be able to take something from this moving forward, especially now that we have like Captain Marvel 2 coming up, and even the Black Widow movie
Widow.
that still that still hasn't been out at all. But I really
Been
hope that
two
Marvel
years
learned.
since
You're
Endgame.
right. I know, but I really hope Marvel learns from this. Like this is how you handle your female characters, especially one as powerful as Wanda.
Yeah. Most powerful Avenger. Here we go.
Deserves. And
Deserve, sobrang deserve.
maganda nga yung point mo na, it really puts a face to female grief, and just having a female narrative in general before. I mean, this was supposed to come out after Black Widow, right? I mean,
Yeah.
kasi, we've only had that. We've only had Captain Marvel and supposedly Black Widow, and now this. And this is kind of like really opening the doors for more, hopefully, in the next movies and TV shows, because we'll be getting a lot, which we'll be discussing a bit later on. Speaking of Captain Marvel, I wonder what Monica's like beef with her is, because when they did mention Captain Marvel, she was like, "No, I'm not having this conversation."
Abandonment. I'm sure that's like one
Pretty much.
very, poignant thing, especially so soon after her mom passing. There's a lot of anger, I'm sure, towards that. Not being able to see this woman who was supposed to take care of you for so long also, and then yung best friend ng person na yun na wala, happens to be your mom, wala pa rin siya hanggang ngayon. Of course, there's anger there. And again, hopefully something that Marvel like explores in a very respectful manner, because like I feel like female anger is also very different from male anger, diba? It's less I feel like it's less outward yung anger ng babae. A lot of it turns into like inner turmoil. So that's something that could possibly be explored, and I'm excited over that fact. I'm excited to see Nick Fury again, like actual Nick Fury.
Not
um,
Skrull Nick Fury.
not Skrull Nick Fury as we've seen for the longest time. Yeah, it's exciting how much WandaVision opens up in the MCU,
And
and
then
excited to get back into MCU in general.
and yeah, I mean, coming from that Nick Fury thing, in the first after credits sequence or mid credits sequence, there was a scroll and said, "Oh, you have a friend waiting for you," to Monica up there. I mean, we could guess that it's probably the real Nick Fury, right?
In space, yeah.
With other scrolls leading into his own TV series, Secret Wars, sometime soon, or I don't know when.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna talk about like the last episode itself? Because that was
Yeah, well,
A
before the last episode, episode 7 was the final. I mean, we've all been like, oh, we've known her as Wanda for the longest time, and Agatha finally names her, oh, you're the Scarlet Witch. And we're like, yeah.
that was so funny. Like it wasn't like a moment for me. It was more like, haha, yes, that's her name.
Finally, they found a way to like actually call her that.
It was good. I mean, I wish we could see more of Agatha's Salem days, because like there's a lot of interesting stuff that could come about it. Like, how did she get into the dark arts? What exactly did she do to get like burned at the stake by witches? But it's very, very interesting. I think
I would
her
watch the whole show
backstory.
with this Catherine Han.
Genuinely, yes. So yeah, that was exciting. And I like the lore of witchcraft, like actual witchcraft, not Harry Potter witchcraft. So interesting. I'm very, very hyped for all of that. So hopefully in Doctor Strange we get more of that. Because I'm sure Agatha has like gone into contact with
The Ancient One.
the
or
Ancient
something.
One. Diba? Like that powerful. Yeah, of course she has. Of course she's trying to take the Ancient One's powers. You know, all these things that could be.
There's so much to tell, no? And yun na nga, as Paula mentioned, now we're talking about the finale, because after 8 weeks, after 6-7 weeks, we're like, how will this end? How will they wrap everything up? Because there are so many loose threads to wrap up. We have Monica's story, we have Vision, na they revealed that
Negavision.
Megavision.
is that what they call him now?
No, that's
No,
what my
no,
brother
no.
calls him. My brother was like, oh, it's a Negavision. I was like, okay.
White Vision, Negavision, they revealed na they put Vision back, the actual Vision, and not Wanda's TV version of Vision from the mind, her piece of the Mind Stone Vision. They just introduced that like in episode 6 or 7, right? And ang dami pa, may Monica ka pa, may Wanda and Agnes ka pa, and we didn't even know what Pietro was gonna be until the very last few moments of the show. What were your thoughts on the finale and how they wrapped it up? Because coming into MCU TV shows, Kevin Feige was like, you know, some shows will be having multiple seasons, some are just like mini series that will only have a few seasons or one season. And it's not exactly clear what
one is
WandaVision
which.
will be yet after this, except for the fact that Wanda will be heading on to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. After the show. So, I mean, it was a lot for the finale to like kind of wrap up. And we haven't even talked about Billy and Tommy at this point.
Oh my god, my babies, my queer babies.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, again, like, I like the fact that it indulged itself as a grief project more than anything else. Because I think if we were to explore more on the Monica side, on the Pietro side, then it wouldn't have been that. So I'm grateful that it really took its time to marinate, I guess, in Wanda's pain. Because I think that's really what the selling point of the show is, and the selling point of her character. out of everybody else in the MCU, arguably, even Spider-Man at this point, and Spider-Man is Marvel's like most hurt boy in its history. But as of right now in the MCU, that honor, quote unquote, goes to Wanda, and I think it should be dealt with as best as it can, and it did do that. I told this to Sel, and I think I told you also, Cholo, that I cried way more at the finale of WandaVision than I did at Endgame. Like the culmination of a 12-year like a cinematic universe was less impactful to me than this 8 episode run, because it dealt with grief and death so beautifully and so real. I think, you know, there were lines in that last episode na I knew that everything was coming. I knew that she would say goodbye to the twins, that she would say goodbye to Vision. But when she said lines like, thank you for choosing me to be your mom, or you are my love made real. Diba? Yung mga ganong linya, it makes an already painful watch even more emotional. And that's, I think, like the beauty that WandaVision has out of anything that the MCU has created. That ability to bring out these emotions in all of us without it being forced, without it just being like Tony Stark dying. Because that's going to bring out emotion in everyone, diba? The way that it did this with twins that we only knew for what, like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And me bawling as if they were my own children. Because it was just that well written. I will forever be in awe of the crafting of this whole show. And that finale, in spite of like my small issues with it, like not developing Darcy enough, or forgetting all of these side characters at the end, is forgivable if this is the end project. You know, if this is what they were able to accomplish. So that's me.
I agree with Paula that I think it was a tweet that a lot of people were retweeting, that everyone's looking for like the big bad villain, but isn't grief enough of a villain anyway. So how that for me really encapsulated what the show was about. That we're really watching Wanda deal with her trauma, and that's actually the most difficult thing to do, compared to fighting like a physical villain in front of you. And that's why I think she's the strongest Avenger more than anything, not just her
emotionally and physically.
Emotionally the strongest Avenger, right? But I do agree with Paul. I had minor issues with the show. Like I didn't like how they made Agatha kind of go full villain at some point. Like I like the more nuanced character she was playing at the start, and they kind of forgot about Jimmy and Darcy. But I'm hopeful that means that they have future projects in the Marvel universe. So I just hold on to that. But my slightly like mababaw comment about the finale, as somebody na nagbalik loob sa anime over my semestral break, was that I'm so happy she got a transformation sequence. It felt very anime
Mega evolution.
Girl. Yeah, it felt very magical girl anime to me, and like that made me really, really happy.
It was very
Sailor Moon.
Reveal.
I love it.
Yeah, very Sailor Moon, yeah. And the fact that the show was very focused on appearances, like it actually felt like it was a natural thing for her to get a costume. And it's not the kind of, she just has a new suit. Because I think she made it with her magic or something, right? So
she's the Elsa.
Really she's the Elsa. So basically it really was watching Frozen. At some point.
It really is.
And her costume was so good. Like,
so
it
good.
So great. And I think some people were comparing it to Magneto, which admittedly kind of hurt me a little bit.
Oh,
I kind of wanted Magneto to show up, although I knew it wasn't going to happen. But I felt very proud. I felt so proud of Wanda, and I feel like that's the best feeling after watching. You just feel so proud that this character was able to handle all of the shit that the world like threw at her.
And to grow the way that she did.
Yeah. Strongest Avenger.
I also like that it didn't end with forgiveness from the people in Westview.
Yeah.
Because how could they, diba? In their minds, she was the villain. Like, her trauma be damned. Because, of course, they don't understand that, diba? All they cared about was their own, like, experiences. Which is very fair. And I think is a repercussion that Avengers in general should be getting more into. So I think that was incredible to see. That when the hero saves the day, everybody doesn't like her still.
Well, she put it on them, I guess. But
No.
I would have to agree with you guys in terms of how it kind of like left a lot of things unsaid, or like it was kind of loose threads by the end of it. I feel like it deserved at least one more episode, or like a longer runtime, kasi parang it was just a lot to like finish off in like one season of a series, which had some episodes for just like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Parang they put a lot. I mean, I guess they will address it in further movies and
Yeah.
series. That's the intention. But as a whole, if we're being like technical about it, yun na nga, parang there was still a lot of things. And um with the Agatha thing that Cell said nga, yun na nga, parang yeah,
Sayang.
there was more nuance to that, but maybe they will give her more eventually. They had to at least villainize, or like find a face at least for a villain type in the show. Yung White Vision, ano lang din, White Vision like element or narrative that was kind of short, and that kind of
I'm excited to see what else happens with that though, because Vision basically, nixed him with philosophy, which is great. Like, who would think that you could stop a villain with like a thought project, diba? Like a thought experiment. I think that's fantastic.
Quote
to me.
my brother, it felt like watching Naruto daw, that he just used like talk no jutsu.
Talk no jutsu.
and that's why I didn't cry during the finale, because I laughed so hard when my brother said that.
I'm so glad I watched it on my own. Ay, nako.
But it's a nice
It's
way
great.
to bring Vision back for sure. Like for
Yeah.
real.
Because like we all knew that you could somehow bring Vision back, given that he's not human,
Yeah.
not Natasha, for example. Yeah, so I think it was a good way to do it. It was a very like, good proof also of the evils of men. I hated that sword director guy so much. It's so annoying.
Yeah, and like yeah, I'm just gonna bring this back and like campaign for another Quicksilver appearance.
Bring back Aaron Taylor
Bring back
Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's it. Any last things you guys want to talk about in the WandaVision world before we wrap things up?
That last end scene,
Yes.
after credit scene. Yeah, so we hear the twins in Wanda's, as Wanda is, what's it called again? Astral projection. Yeah, which is cool. Like, nice to see that you can do that now. More of like a direct introduction back to Doctor Strange. But yeah, I'm wondering where the twins went, how it's possible that they're still alive, given that Westview, as she knew it and as the twins knew it, no longer exists. And just how powerful Wanda is to actually create something real, like really real. So that's cool. And more of those twins, particularly, is it Tommy that's queer? One of them is queer.
It is Wiccan, diba? I'm not sure which
I
is
think it's Wiccan. I think
it's
he gets
Wiccan.
Yeah, it's Wiccan, but
gets
who
with Hulkling or something like that.
Yeah, with
is it?
Hulkling.
Tommy? Is it Tommy?
We shall fact check now.
One of the twins. I don't want to, say
Wiccan
anything
is
with
Billy.
certainty. Billy. Okay. Oh, my sweet little
Yeah, I
boys.
mean that is the general ano naman eh. That's the general comic book storyline of Agatha Harkness and Wanda, our Scarlet Witch, and eventually
using the twins to
Mephisto,
bring back Mephisto, yeah.
which will probably be really a thing eventually.
Most likely. I don't think they're unless they're doing another one like who was the villain in Iron Man 3 supposedly? The Mandarin. Unless they do another one like that, which I refuse because that made Iron Man 3 the worst MCU movie for me.
I mean, it would be nice because it really seems like they're really opening up the Young Avengers initiative na at this point with the two and si Kate Bishop and si sino pa yung iba?
Cassie Lang.
Cassie Lang. All those kids and Miss Marvel, of course.
Yeah, Miss
Yes.
All of those are coming, and there's a lot more MCU coming our way.
Did
Uh,
you guys notice that in the new opening credits or opening sequence of the Marvel logo, all of the original six are grayed out?
which
Yeah.
one? In
All
which?
of this original six. As in the Marvel logo at the start of every episode, if you watched again, the original six are grayed out. Everyone else is in color, except for Cap,
Oh,
Iron Man, Natasha, even Thor. I thought that at first when I watched it, I thought it was just the characters who had died or had moved on. So, Cap made sense, Iron Man made sense, and Natasha made sense. But even the Hulk and Thor and Hawkeye are grayed out, which to me is very strange. But yeah, I think it's really just like showing that it's no longer the age of the original Avengers. We're really moving forward with these new Avengers, the young Avengers. So it's interesting. Something
for
you guys
sure.
can
And
watch again. Yeah.
WandaVision is like parang siya yung bumabandera, Scarlet Witch as like the new generation of what we are to look forward to in this next
Mm-mm.
batch as a first. I mean, of course, after Black Widow. So now I guess let's talk about the future of MCU, which we've been like talking about for ages now. What's coming up in 2021 is a lot, hopefully, because we don't know schedules at this point are still very like flexible.
Iffy. Yeah.
I mean, next is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which
I
is
think that's set.
yeah, it's on Disney Plus or
Yeah.
wherever you watch. It's coming in 2 weeks, March 19th.
Next week.
Next week na ba yun? Oo nga,
ba
no?
yun?
That's next week. Because this week, this Friday is assembled. So
Which is
assembling
the
WandaVision. So we only get a week reprieve and then it's back.
Wow.
Back in TV mode. Mhm.
And that will be 6 episodes.
Yes.
And after that,
Followed by Black Widow.
supposedly Black Widow in May.
Mhm.
Maybe at this point they're just gonna give up and make it a Disney Plus
Wala,
premiere.
they need to. I mean, I think I'm okay with it so long as they do a re-release in theaters when everything's a little bit more okay now. Because
I
I'll
would do
definitely pay
that.
to watch
Yeah,
Black Widow in the cinemas.
I would go to Paula's house na lang muna and watch it on the super big TV.
On our TV, on our
Yeah,
projector.
maybe as a second
Yeah.
time watch.
Yeah, you guys are very welcome to do that.
And in June we have Loki, June 11,
Okay.
and that's a few
That's
episodes
exciting.
lang din. 6 lang din yata siya.
Yeah. Another because I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier will play in the typical MCU fashion, but like Loki has the potential to do a WandaVision in the sense that be more experimentative with the media. The
It's
medium.
gonna be
rather.
Doctor Who, but Loki. Let's do it.
Get our sonic screwdrivers ready and everything.
Get your staff or whatever Loki accessory you want at this point.
The horns.
In July, we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Atuloy ba ang Shang-Chi this July?
Yes,
I'm
apparently.
so iffy about that. Okay.
Yeah. And after that,
What
we
if?
have What If in mid-2021.
Yes.
This is kind of like the tentative release date pa.
Mhm.
And in November, we have The
Hawkeye.
Eternals.
Oh, the
Oh,
Eternals.
shucks. Oh, nga
Right.
pala.
Yes.
I forgot that was happening. My goodness.
And in late 2021, there are 2 Disney Plus shows, which are Miss Marvel and Hawkeye. I'm not too sure if
Yes.
they're gonna proceed with that schedule.
Tuloy pa ba ang Miss Marvel? I think
There's a
Hawkeye
lot.
can make end of year. But Miss
Yeah.
Marvel hasn't been getting any like
Parang they started,
traction or news.
they've started production already.
Oh, they have? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
May mga pictures na of Kamala Khan out there. And lastly, in December, nearing Christmas, is Spider-Man No Way Home. Or
Joy.
what were the other titles that they,
Home Alone.
work from home?
Basta ang dami. It was so good. That was really good PR. So take notes.
Spider-Man has the best. Spider-Man has the best PR team, I think. I think they really use the youth of their cast to make like really bizarre things happen.
I think for me, it's
it's Ant-Man
Oh
and
yeah.
Spider-Man. They have really good
Small
PR for
ads.
both of those. Diba? So good. I think to me that's like the pinnacle of film media or film advertisement. But yes, so excited for Spider-Man because of all
Yeah.
of the possibilities.
Let's just not hype ourselves too much. But I mean, confirmed cast na yung mga ibang tao dun. So we never really know. But just keep it with a grain of salt.
I just want Willem Dafoe to come back to the MCU. Like, please give me back Willem Dafoe and and Alfred Molina. That's all I care about. All the Spider-Men be damned. Just give me them. Please.
And yeah, I mean, it's really exciting to be back in this whole universe we've been in for the last 12, 10 years plus.
Yeah.
And yeah, what are you guys excited about in that aspect?
I'm excited to see Sebastian Stan with short hair. That is definitely something I'm excited about because he looks like Hugh Jackman in a very strange but like visceral way. So I'm very excited.
He
And
looks
to see
really
him
good.
and Mackie fighting, I think all my fan fiction dreams coming true again.
It's nice also the US agent element and Baron Zemo. So
Baron Zemo.
we'll be having like another
Another
week
episode.
of for sure after the Winter Soldier, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier end.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Ikaw, Sel, what are you looking forward to?
I'm excited to have a show to be excited for every week again. It's a nice way to end the week. I guess, like I said earlier, it's a very family bonding experience. And I think it helped that we didn't have Marvel for an entire year because a lot of
It
people
definitely did.
really were suffering from like Marvel and superhero fatigue in general. So this was a nice way to come. Like WandaVision, I think, was the best entry point back into it.
Definitely.
100%.
And in next week, then you'll have to go through 4 hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So we'll see about
I mean,
that.
I have HBO Go, so I might as well watch it.
Let's do it. I'm sure we're gonna have another episode on that as well. But that wraps up our WandaVision after show discussion about what we like, what we thought should be better, and what's to come. Of course, at the end of the show, we always have our pop stop, which is our pop culture recommendations for the week. Who wants to start?
Sell.
Oh my god. I think Paula wants me to start because I managed to boodle her into watching what I'm gonna recommend. But I recently, over my break, balik loob sa anime talaga.
Yes.
So, yes,
Yes.
please watch Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like one of the best
OMG.
anime I've watched recently. It's a bit hard for me to recommend it based solely on the show because I've actually caught up with the manga.
Mhm.
So, but it's a great show. It's a typical shonen anime, like if you look at it at first glance, but it actually flips a lot of tropes. And and for me, the way I appreciate anime is how much I want the main characters to be happy, even if they suffer so much. And in the show, I can really say that I just want all of them to be happy, even if they have to go through so much. The main premise is that there are people called jujutsu sorcerers, and they exercise curses. So it's a great watch. It's still ongoing. There are 3 more episodes to come out, and once you start watching the anime, I swear you will end up reading the manga.
Yep, that's what's gonna happen to me at the end of the season. That's
That
for
is
sure.
on my list already. And
Let's go, Cholo.
yeah, my ano lang kasi was I was trying to catch up to Attack on Titan, which I already
Also really
caught
good.
up on. So I mean, that's my next one. I saw it on HBO Max, and it was
It's on HBO Max.
It's on HBO Max, but it's the English dub. So I was
Oh,
like,
no.
no, I'm not
Okay,
gonna
don't
watch the English dub.
don't.
No,
I'm
no.
just gonna watch
9 anime na lang.
yes somewhere else. Yun lang ba sa'yo, Sel?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna recommend something that Sal recommended to me also, which is Horimiya.
Oh my god, the best.
I love it so much. So I'm a huge fan of shoujo anime, but having said that, I haven't seen any new shoujo anime since the age of Maid-sama and Oran High School Host Club, which are all like fantastic shows that you guys should watch. But Horimiya is a definite like great welcome back into the world of shoujo anime, shoujo manga. It's the most
I can't say it's wholesome, Cell, because there are parts of it that's just like, what am I watching? But it's a very, very fun watch, and if you're the type that likes fanfics or those romance shows that makes you want to throw your phone across the room sa sobrang kilig, this is definitely that show. Ayun, it's a good watch. It's very high school. It makes you feel like you're in high school again, and while that's not always a great feeling, this definitely feels great. And I haven't felt this good about like watching a romance show rather, like in a long time. It's more, mas kinilig pa ako dito than in Bridgerton, which is saying something because I love
Wow.
Bridgerton.
That is saying a lot
Yeah.
about
It's,
you,
yeah.
Paula.
Anime is good for your mental health.
And
What can I-
anime, guys, it's
The Horny
like,
manga is also really great, by the way.
I know I will definitely, like, as soon as the season ends, I'll probably watch it because my best friend, si Andrea, also really loves the manga, so I'll watch it also. And I need more shoujo recommendations. So if you have any more, Sal, like throw them my way. So
I
that's
mean,
it.
jumping on the anime train, every week I just tell Paula, thank you. Dahil she's really the one who revitalized my anime watching from My Hero
Yes.
Academia onwards. Parang pang-5 ko pa lang yata yung Attack on Titan, but that's already
I'm
a lot.
very proud.
Yeah.
Like
so-
Cholo is my biggest accomplishment in terms of, like, anime.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Well,
Somebody
I
who
will
binge
message
watched.
you once I start Jujutsu na.
Yay!
Paula and I have a group chat with our other friend.
Yeah, it's
not
like a
bad.
support group. Jujutsu Kaisen support group.
Ako kasi I'm trying to I usually tend to compartmentalize how I watch things. So after I finish an anime, I'd go watch a
Yeah, he'll
Korean
watch
show
something
first,
else.
or an American show first, or a Filipino one. Para lang parang just to give way to everything else.
Wala. Kami ni Sel are just like, we're like straight down the anime track with a little bit of like Disney Plus on the side.
So on my front, I would like to recommend since everything I've just been watching is Attack on Titan, basically. I have 2 songs to recommend. The first is, and this all like K-pop ish. First is I discovered this new K-pop band called On and Off. It's spelled ONF, but it's called On and Off. And they have their first album, their latest release is called Beautiful Beautiful, yung title track, and it's just really feel good. So I feel like we should go check that out later after this. It's a bop, and it's like something na very accessible, and I feel like a lot of people who aren't really into K-pop would enjoy listening to. Aside from that, I forgot to mention this last week. Shiny's 7th album called Don't Call Me, also like Chef's Kiss. It kind of got me into the Shiny black hole more than ever, because I'm really more into the more recent groups. Pero Shiny's been there for a while, since second gen.
Second gen, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Shiny, Don't Call Me. The whole album is really great. Walang tapon. And finally, of course, ikataguyod na ng bandera ng Pilipinas. SB19 is back with their latest single, What? It's called What? Question mark. And it's just so good. I've been obsessed with it for a whole week, even before it released, thanks to my work. But aside from it being my job, I mean, it's something I would listen to, and I'm actually developing the merch. So that's the exciting part about it.
Yay!
But in general, ang ganda, the music is elevated. If you're not into the SB19 bandwagon yet, I feel like you should give them a chance. Because of course, you just like kind of like throw them aside as P-pop or trying to be K-pop, but they've kind of built their own genre and like space in OPM as P-pop at this point, and they're proving their worth as the pioneers of this generation of P-pop after Sex Bomb's first generation.
I can't believe Sex Bomb is like the first generation of people, but
It
yes,
is.
100%.
It makes so
Parang-
much sense, though.
It does make sense. The fact that they were a bigger girl group than like a lot of other girl groups in Asia for the longest time
Yeah.
is fantastic.
In that sense, they are the OGs of P-pop, Sex Bomb, and ano pa yun?
So
Masculados.
yung mga masculados, I was about to say the masculados.
I mean, kasi yung third, I guess this is already the third gen P-pop at this point with SB19 as the starting point in 2019. The second gen would be more on like Pop Girls, Accelerate,
Oh my god.
mga ganun.
Accelerate.
That was a thing, but that would be
Yeah.
like completely
Ex-battalion.
XB considered P-pop na sila. Pero yun, SB19, check it out. Really good. That's it. Those are my recommendations for the week. So yeah. Any last words before we end the show?
We're good.
And with that, thank you so much, Paula and Sel, for being on this episode of the show. Of course, to everyone who's listening and watching, thank you so much for joining us on our WandaVision episode. Of course, all our previous episodes are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you stream our podcasts. Of course, we're also here on radyo-katipunan 87.9 FM every week. Thank you so much to the radyo-katipunan fam. And we will all be seeing you next time. Of course, don't forget to follow us on social media as well. That's at Popcorn with Cholo, at Popcorn W Cholo on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We'll see you all in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Oble yun. Bye.
This is your stop for all things pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Cholo Sediaren, as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munch in with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.